Have you ever had a message from someone you really love and they were experiencing a really problematic situation? You know, something that you just wouldn't wish that on anyone. So my friend messaged me the other day, and I don't know if you've ever been a teenager or know a teenager or have a teenager, but a lot of times, from what I can tell, there's a different language being spoken from the teenager and the parent. And so to find that common ground where there's understanding happening, being exchanged, that feels like something that's really important to pursue and protect. So she was very thoughtful and found an activity that she thought would really interest her teenager. And she bought VIP tickets for it. It was an investment. And so her teenager was really nervous to go. You know what it's like when you feel like a fish out of water sometimes, and that insecurity, some of us, it never goes away. So she got them to the location, marched them to the very front because the VIP ticket was sold as first row seating. So the attendant who brought them to the front said, if you don't see your name on the seat, that's okay. Just find a VIP seat that is open and that doesn't have someone else's name on it. So there was 2 seats left. Everything in the second row was full. Everything in the third row was full. And they were really excited. And she got up and went to go get them some food. And so her teenager was left there alone, feeling insecure, feeling like a fish out of water, potentially, but kind of excited to be there to experience this passion and presentation. Imagine her horror when someone came up when she wasn't there and yelled at her teenager and demanded proof that those were the seats that they were meant to occupy. Imagine. So when she came back and saw this happening, she'd paid for the food and was waiting for it. And the person kind of insinuated, did you really pay for these seats? But like in full voice, yelling, demanding that those were not their seats. And so my friend quoted the amount, the hundreds of dollars she paid for the seats, and they both had VIP wristbands. And so, but the event organizer was yelling about being the event organizer and how there was just this lack of trust. And so they were both feeling mortified. She was worried about the teenager who was feeling really upset about even going because not feeling like they belonged. And then this public humiliation happening in front of the whole auditorium at this decibel with this velocity and all the drama. So she went to go get the food that she'd paid for. And unfortunately, her teenager, it was well beyond their comfort zone. They started to feel super anxious and they ended up deciding to leave. On the way out, she had made mention to the event organizer, you know, this was not cool. We paid for these tickets and this is not what we were meant to get. And another little bit of a heated conversation happened right then and there. So when I got the information about what happened, the pit of my stomach went into knots because I love my friend and I know she was seeking connection with her teenager. She loves creating unique experiences, so she was working on creating a memory of doing something brand new out of her own comfort zone. And then to have this unexpected situation kind of smack them both in the face, where it really rubbed that pain point of my interpretation is, do I belong? And feeling like there's this loud and clear message of, no, I don't. I knew in that moment it was my invitation as a beloved friend to offer a different perspective instead of reinforcing the story of what felt to be true. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my life is that I want to be a good author. I want to tell the story of my life, of how I want it to be, not how it appears to be. Because a lot of times how it appears to be is lacking. It isn't always how I want it to be. I learned this when my cat was, for all intents and purposes, looking like he was dying. And I just started speaking the words of belief and hope and persistence, because he needed a surgery, and he got the surgery and it was successful, but he was fighting a really bad infection for a few weeks. So we were in and out of the vet hospital, and I just kept saying, I'm telling the story of how I want it to be, not the way it appears to be. And so I was in this dance. I was actually hiking like I am today, and I was trying to decide, should I tell her the truth with love, or should I let her reinforce how painful this experience was? Where's the line with that? So I just sent a message from the heart and prayed that it would land. And the message was simply this: there is something called the hero's journey. And what's really cool is that I know your teenager is destined for greatness. I know that they have a bright future in this particular creative endeavor if they chose to embrace it. Here's how I know: because this worthy opponent popped up in the face of a public shaming and this experience of anxiety and stress and upset to derail them. And so if they chose to use this as fuel and not as a block, that they could likely develop even a brand that stands up for justice, that stands up for belonging, that calls to the people that feel like they've been told they don't fit. And so I was holding my breath because I was really wondering, are they going to be like, you don't get it, like this really sucked, and this was really hurtful, and this was really painful, and you're not listening, you haven't experienced this pain before? Or were they going to receive it with open arms and be like, I never thought about it that way, that actually feels like something good to consider, and maybe this wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me. Maybe this is one of the better things that happened to me, because it proved to me I care enough, I have resilience, and ain't nothing gonna break my stride, if you remember that song from the 80s. So they didn't keep me in misery and ignore the text. They answered. And my girlfriend thanked me. She thanked me profusely, because she didn't have access to the resources to reframe the experience, because that tapped something painful within her, and her mama bear energy of wanting to protect her teenager from not experiencing pain. I get that. I've been there. And sometimes it isn't rescuing someone from the lesson when you offer them the gift of a different perspective. And one of my favorite mentors that I have been able to sit at the feet of for the last several months and learn directly from, Eric Edmeades, he taught me this methodology, this hindsight window. And basically, when we look at the past with resentment or regret, we're going to carry fear into the future. So the sooner we can get to a place of gratitude about an experience, even if it's in the present and it's painful, if we can access gratitude or feel that sense that it's serving something, then we bring faith into the future. We don't come from a place of suffering, and we close that hindsight window. So maybe there's something that you are anticipating experiencing, or you just went through something, And maybe it was so painful, like my bestie and her teenager. And if you share the story to enough people, they're going to be like, I can't believe you had to go through that. Poor you. That's not okay. That's injustice. This is terrible. Nobody should have to be publicly shamed. Nobody should have to be publicly shamed. But what if there is this hero's journey and there is the ability to use pain as a portal and no pain is wasted? And what if that was refining you to call up a new meaning so that you could find a new strength you didn't know you had? So you could be the hero of your story. So that worthy opponent, that person who looked like an enemy, actually is the person we owe gratitude for, the gift of grit, the gift of determination, the gift of strength, the gift of refined focus and purpose, the gift of saying, I am not settling. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So guess what? The very next day, my friend and her teenager packed themselves up, went on an adventure, and created some incredible art, inspiring art that wouldn't have been created had they not had the portal of pain from the day before. So I'm so grateful for the moments of pain that I've been able to receive as purpose because they healed. And so maybe the next time life offers you something that is not what you asked for, that isn't ideal, that is an ouchie of some kind, borrow my mentor's method. Find a way to get into a state of gratitude so that you can bring faith into the future and not have to drag along regret or resentment that makes you feel fearful. The hindsight window is something that is life-changing, and my belief is that you're never going to forget it. And maybe you're going to be a gift in someone's life because you'll get to offer them this framework. If that happens, please send me a message and let me know. I'm all ears over here.